Hey y'all, it is Moonlight Cowboy, and today we're going to do a tutorial on how to build at the Charleston Capitol building. Now, with this tutorial, this is one that I wasn't looking forward to do, but it was actually suggested by one of the people in one of my comments, and I'd built here a couple of times in the past. I just really don't like this location because you're just constantly getting shot at. It's like Fallujah out there. For those of you old enough to remember that. So, it's still pretty cool that you can build here. So, I thought it was worthy of doing a tutorial. So, first thing is getting up there. You can go from a distance and probably, get up there with like the turret trick, or, there's other ways. This is the way that I got up here, just with a jetpack. I only have one character with a jetpack, so I had to like literally be intentional on which camp I was going to delete this time, because yeah. Anyways, so you can place it pretty much anywhere on that upper edge of the dome, the camp device. So from here, what we're going to do is I'm just going to make a quick blueprint. I had my blueprinted stairs post, and then I'm just going to blueprint a kind of like with the post, the duck, and also the wall, and I'm using a full length catwalk for this. Now the other thing, as you notice too, is I put that duck really close towards the other side, and the reason for this is because we're going to need to be able to get it as close to that rail over on the structure as possible. So once we get this thing blueprinted, it's pretty straightforward. If I'm not mistaken, it was like about 22 walls worth. That duck thing, by the way, I learned that the hard way, because I didn't blueprint it like that at first. But the process is still the same regardless of where you blueprint it. It's just that you need to get it that close. But I do believe that this was like 22 walls-ish, going all the way around. And if you do it just right, it'll actually go around perfectly. Like, there's no like real overlap in the walls. You can get them all to touch. So anyways, then what I did here was I went ahead and just built like a working platform, using that one blueprint. That way I can kind of walk around and add these. The other thing there, as you see, is I'm putting catwalks there. This way I have a spawn point right here, so that way I don't have to keep jumping up. Now from here, it's pretty straightforward. I went on the outside of the rail, but it's still attached to the structure. See right there? And yeah, and then what I'm really doing, and this is the part that takes patience, you have to make sure that the walls are perfect, because you don't want there to be any like white lines or like any gaps in the walls or anything like that. So it really takes some like a touch of patience, which is another reason why I don't ever look forward to building here, to be honest. It looks like I'm doing it all on the first try, but in all honesty, getting the walls perfect on this is the hardest part of this build. Everything else is like, it's tedious, but it's not like challenging per se. Like, it's just a lot of destroying roofs, and you'll see that here in a little bit. But getting these walls, see how that white line is? So, what I usually do too is like, I'll go in like right now and I'll go and fix this to make sure it's perfect. But then what I will do after the fact is I actually will log out and log back in to make sure none of the walls shifted. For those of you who've been building for a while, sometimes the walls and or foundations will shift just slightly, and I don't want that to like be a detractor. I don't want to limit what walls I can use, because I don't want some kind of like showing. So yeah, I will log back out and log back in to make sure that it's perfect. And of course, after I did all of that, you can see they are absolutely perfect all the way around. No issues whatsoever. They meet perfectly. It took me a long time to do that. I didn't take you on that journey because, in all honesty, it would just be like a couple hours of being really bored. But that's how it's supposed to look when it's all done. Just like a little halo around the building. So now we're going to start with our floors, and I use our roofs as floors. So what I did there is I added a roof, and I'm basically walking it down. See, I'm just taking it and I'm flattening it like so, and then angling it down like that. And that gets me my floor. Now to keep doing that, I'm just going to angle it back up and then destroy it. And I'm going to do that obviously for each wall that I have, which again I think was 22. Yep, pretty easy. And like I said, once you get the walls on, everything else is very straightforward. And yeah, just gonna, and you know, you can always move your platform, which I end up having to delete some of the platform here to move it out of the way, so that way I can keep working, like so. Because once you have your floors down, you won't really need it anymore. Yeah. So, like I said, this part is just a lot of, doing the same repetitive build technique over and over again. But it's good because it's really uniform. Now, another thing that I want to point out while we're doing this is the concrete that I put those posts on are uneven. So that means your walls are going to be slightly up a little higher and lower than the next one. And same with the roofs. Now, there's a reason that I did this instead of making them all perfect. And that was because I did not want there to be any flickering in any of my floors. So with that said, now what we're doing is we're adding the second layer of floor. And this is also fairly straightforward. Again, it's just going to take some destruction. And I'm going to do it again since I was kind of talking over that part and you can kind of see. So I'm adding a little base and I'm using that so I can destroy that roof and then just move on and keep doing this another 22 times. And the nice thing about the way that I'm doing that roof right there, this way, is when I go to make that into a door frame, as you will see later, when you add the angled wall to the bottom of the roof and then add a flat roof to it, it then allows for you to put a door on. A lot of times with builders, one of the frustrations is the doors just won't go onto the walls, and it's really frustrating. So that's the workaround for this. So that will make this part easy. But again, you will see here, like you can probably tell right there, that they're just slightly higher and lower than each other. And I actually think that this is a good thing for this build because, again, you won't see any flickering in any of the roofs, which is really nice. Here I'm just showing an example of how I can start a room. I end up going with it for one side, and then I end up doing a free wall for the other side, just because I wanted to add a little bit of different character to it. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you how I can make those single walls into double walls, or into half walls. I don't double wall this build, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Budget's the big one. Another one is I actually did want to use that particular wallpaper, or the face of the wall, not the wallpaper side, because the blue metal, with that other blue building in this area looked really good. So yeah, but I do end up going and using a bunch of half walls for that. And on this build, as you see over there, I kind of keep a little bit of an area over there because I want like kind of a backyard area. So now we're going to add the roofs as actual roofs. So as you saw, I used a catwalk and I used a half wall. That way I can get the roofs to get over to where they're going to be touching the dome. Now you're looking at it right now and you're like, they don't touch. I don't understand, Moon. Depending on the roof that you use, they will, because we're going to flex this in a way to where where there's a little bit of an extension that will come out from the responder's roof. Now I end up in the very end, and I didn't video this, but I ended up changing it to the army base roof because I just like the way it looked, but it gives a really cool design. I'm going to show you how I did that again here in a minute, but essentially we're about to do this part on the other side, but we're double roofing each one of these walls. So that means there's going to be 44 roofs up there. And there's a lot of good reasons for this. I want to have some freedom for some angles, and also I want to, I think it'll give it a better custom look. So what I'm doing here to double roof this, it's really easy. Notice I laid that flat. And now I'm destroying that after I angled it back up. I laid it flat, I angled it, I destroyed it, and now I can just attach an angled one because walls have two different snapping points when it comes to roofs. So that I use that same trick for this right here, and I'm going to do this part again. So notice I used 2 catwalks to go out, and now I'm going to add a flat roof to the top, and I'm going to angle this one down like so. And then I'm going to angle that so that way I can flatten it, so that way I can remove this other roof right here. And I'm just going to turn that into an angled roof. And notice I place it as an angled roof. So now it's sitting a little higher than that other roof is. So then I'm just going to attach an angled roof over here, just so that way I have a platform to be able to destroy that other roof. So I can place the roof there. And then I will do the same thing on the other walls. So again, yeah, is it a budget drain? Absolutely. Is the effect really cool when we're done? I think so. And look, I can just snap that roof gingerly over to that one. And then I would just do the same over on the other side, and I would just keep that process going after I destroy it, right? So it will be nice. By the time this video is released, we might actually have the that perk card, Wrecking Ball, where we can destroy the stuff. But look what I was able to do. Now all of those roofs are flush with the dome, and it has that really cool effect. Now remember what I was saying before about the door? Look at what happened when I was able to delete that other roof. I can literally just place a door right here because it's at the exact level. But what we want to do here is we're going to actually create a platform, because it doesn't matter if you have a door if nobody can get through it. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of taking my roofs and leading them out a little bit. And notice what I did there too was I attached that flat roof to the angled roof. So that means it's automatically going to be the lower of the roofs. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just going to I don't want the roof to just be a complete 100% out. I want a little bit more of a custom look. So I'm going to look at doing it halfway out first. But to do that, I'm going to have to destroy some stuff to get that, sneak that roof in there. And I'm going to have to flatten those, I guess you would call them underpinning roofs. The ones that look like they're supporting the structure. All right. So at this point, I also look at it, I'm like, man, that's not enough of a landing spot or patio spot for what I want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it back one wall, or like 1/4 length catwalk, I should say. And now I'm going to have it's going to stick out 3/4 of the way, which is perfect for what I want to do. But of course, I still need to destroy things to make this work. So we're going to turn this wall into the corroded concrete wall. Now you could do this with, like, say you don't have the corroded concrete wall, you could actually do this with probably the greenhouse wall, because it breaks really clean. It just has the outline, and it should be enough for you to be able to snap your roof to it. But I'm just going to do the corroded concrete wall because I love that wall, and if I could be sponsored by that wall, I would absolutely take the corroded concrete wall as a sponsor, because it's great for building. I don't really use it in my builds, but I use it for building all the time. I'm going to have to destroy some other roofs too, because they're going to intersect a little bit. Roofs don't play nice with each other unless they're broken. I'm flattening these guys because then I'll be able to place that roof. So once I break these roofs, I should have no problem getting that one roof in. Towards the end of this, while I'm doing this, I do have a couple of little fun things I tried to do here. One that worked and one that didn't. So you'll see that as like for those that are like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this. I think I got an idea of what you're doing. There is a little fun little activity towards the end of some things that I experimented with. All right, so see, I was able to get that roof in where I wanted it to go, and I'm just double checking it. I know that I can get a door back on there, so I'm not sweating it. And yeah, I just want to remove the other roof now. I'm going to leave that wall up though, because I do want to double roof this part too, because I'm going to do something really cool, something I haven't done before. In order to spawn up in sky camps, which this is technically a sky camp, you have to have catwalks, right? Otherwise, you're going to spawn on the ground, and that sucks for everybody. So, what you can do is you can merge your catwalk into something, and I do a really cool effect here. But first things first, we're going to turn this into a door that sits a little higher up, so it's not going to necessarily get in the way of the roof magic that I'm trying to do. And so in order to do what I need to do, I added that roof, which then I angled up. Or I added it angled because the other roof was already angled. And then I added a half wall. And then what I'm going to do with that half wall is I'm going to end up, I'm going to attach an angled piece going down. And then what this should do, if you see there, it brings it up just ever so slightly above the other roof. So this way I can double roof. And now that I have that roof in position, I'm just going to snap this one through it. And that door shouldn't get in the way. If it were any higher up, it probably would, and I would just have repaired the door and gotten it, where it needed to be, out of the way, basically. And yeah, now I've double roofed my landing spot, and it's sitting 3/4 of a wall length or a tile out, however you want to call it. And yeah, I left the door on there, like I said, this time because I did do that double roof thing, so it would have been it wouldn't have been as easy to get that door back on there. So when I did the double roofing, I left it on, and now I'm just moving all of the roofs back into place and repairing everything that needs to be repaired, so that way I can be done with this part and call it a day. And then we're going to work on a few other little things with the build, such as building another room. So yeah, once I get this repaired, I get everything in place, we'll start on that next room. I think the platform looks good. We'll end up changing that up a little bit towards the end here. I just want to get everything kind of back to ordinary mode. So far, it's looking pretty good though. I mean, I really like the way that this looks, especially with the kind of that rustic outward appearance. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and create my rooms now. And this is fairly easy. I told you before, you can do it with catwalking off, but I wanted to follow the rail so that way it would give it a really neat design effect. And I think it came out pretty cool this way. So again, I'm just lining it up perfectly so that way I know that those corners are as good as possible. I end up having to kind of play with the walls a little bit. If you notice here, I'm going to put wallpapers on there too here in a minute to make sure that they're absolutely perfect. So this might take you a few attempts to make sure they're lined up, because I want to have options. When I'm done with the structure, I don't want to have to go back and be like, oh, I half-assed this, so I have to go back and redo this wall. So I make sure it's perfect, even if I don't plan on it being something I need to, and make sure it's perfect later. I'd rather have that option. And then really, I can just put that other wall anywhere as long as it's connected to that wall right there. See? And look how seamless that is. I think that looks great. And then I would just build my walls up. Now, this is a fun one, right? So we needed to enclose this, and I didn't do this with any of the times that I've done this before. Turns out you can snap things through those railings and into the building itself. There's not everything will work like this, but you can do it with these defensive walls. So what I did was I stacked these defensive walls here. I'm going to merge them down a little bit. I do this for both sides of the room, of the inside here. And this way I can wall it in. That was probably the thing that might have been more innovative that I did with this build. Because, to wall this in and not have that extra gap out there, I didn't, this was uncharted territory for me. The last two times I've built here, the whole dome has been an interior. So I really want to do something different if I was going to come out here and have to retread this location for the tutorial. So I'm just checking to make sure I can. I don't want to have to raise my roofs and burn them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and merge it down until I get to a point where I know I can just place it anywhere there, that's right now. But it's close enough to the roof that it's not, nobody would ever see if there was like the inkling of a light gap. Again, because we have it double roofed. Actually, it's kind of like quad roofed up there. But look, I can just snap it in like that. And because of where I placed it, there's no light and there's no light gaps or anything like that. So you can do it with both sides. Now check this out. This is what I was going to talk about with the landing spot. I used the corroded roof, and then I put a catwalk through this. Now with this blueprint, all I did was, and you can do this off of foundation too, is you're going small camp item, then you're going the closest catwalk to the small camp item, and then the last item, which is the other catwalk. And I did duck, small catwalk, and then long catwalk. That way I had more of a landing spot. See? And then when I blueprinted it that way, I could just have that catwalk there. So then what I did was I attached an angled roof right next to it, and I added a mat there. That way I could adjust the height of where I wanted to place this catwalk. This took me a lot of tries to do, but what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get it as close to the structure as possible, where, and also keep it within the realm of the roof. I don't want one side sticking out or another side sticking out. I want it to be like perfectly centered. And it looks like I did it on the first try. I promise you I didn't. But yeah, see, and you don't have to have the catwalk showing like with the corroded roof. I thought that was really cool. But this way too, whenever they spawn into this camp, you spawn in right on the front porch, which is perfect because then they get the full experience, right? They don't get spawned up in like your kitchen counter or something, which some of my builds are like that. Not gonna lie. Alright, so then I just removed the roofs, and I've got my catwalk in place, and that's my landing spot. And again, I use the corroded roof, so it looks like it's got like wood beams that's sticking through like the corrosion. So look, so this is the perfect example of what I was talking about before with the doors. Because you have some roofs that are going to be like slightly higher or lower than the other roofs, all you got to do if you can't put your door on is just destroy one of the roofs and try and snap a door after you do. See, and you should be able to, no problem. Normally, having slight, like very slight variations in my roof on the floor would bother me. But because this is more of a rustic design, and also I can use, rugs if I want to, because I'm not going to want the whole thing to be this gray color anyway, then I can definitely cover that up too. So normally where I'd be a perfectionist, this is an example where I'm like, let's roll with it. Because I'd rather that than have to cover up my entire floor because it's all going to be flickering anyway. And that's distracting. I mean, sometimes you just can't help flickering. But in this case, I was like, I can do this. And, fortunately, the structure itself just, kind of gave way to that. And yeah, even though that the roof is just barely underneath that door, I can still place the door. Also, before you're done, make sure you check to make sure it's opening the way you want it to open. So in this case, I've got to rotate it because I wanted that door to open in. And then we are good to go with that. And now our structure, for the most part, is complete, the interior. I'm going to show you a couple other things I did here too. So I added lights, and again, because I did that double roof thing, it made it really easy to add lights underneath I used the army base up there, or obviously, so I used army base for this one because it created this like black line all the way around. I did the angled ones, and it kind of looks almost like a turbine, like a wind turbine under there. It's cool. One of the things I was also able to do, so for those of you looking to use foundations, you can place foundations here. And then this is the other cool thing that I was going to tell you guys about. You cannot get into the gold dome portion of this. You can break into the actual structure itself, which, why you'd want to do that, I don't know. But what I did was I basically took the cooking station, I put it onto a shelf, and I got it right underneath that lip, basically as low as I can get it because of the build area. Right underneath that lip there. And then all I got to do is jump up here. And look, I can get in, but again, I can't get up into that dome area. It won't let me, no matter what. It is the bane of my existence. So, but you can get into there. And yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. This is a shorter tutorial because, in all honesty, most of it's kind of tedious. It's not, once you get that ring of wall up, it's pretty easy to do. I did something similar with my satellite build too. But yeah, look how that roof came out. I really like that design on there. And I think all in all, this is a really great build. I probably won't build here again, so hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for those of you who watched. I really appreciate it. Y'all stay blessed out there and have a great, great day. Thank you again.